the mind games that you need to be aware of when you are in a relationship or you are encountering on a daily basis somebody with narcissistic traits. I'm not going to say narcissist generally because narcissist lives in a spectrum, and we need to know all these because we can very easily fall into the trap of feeling scared around them, the trap of hoping that they will change, the trap of feeling guilty. So this month, November 23, this month is the month where we are focusing on toxic relationships. We really want to get a good grip of these relationships so that we can protect ourselves, not in order to blame people, but in order to protect ourselves. You can never control, you can never change, you can never protect yourself if you don't know who the real enemy is. So we really want to have a good understanding of toxic relationships. And one of the things that we're going to do today is understand the mind games that a person with narcissistic traits plays to us. The first trait is called guilt tripping. Guilt is a powerful tool in the hands of a person with narcissistic traits, because when they manage to guilt trip us, then they can get whatever they want. For example, if your mother says something like, oh yeah, I am sick because I had to walk in the rain to go to the train station. If only there was somebody to take me by car as usually. And then of course, not only you feel bad because it's your mother and because she's sick, but because she chose to say that for the day that you had to do a very important presentation at your workplace and you couldn't take her to the train station. You were not around. You had to go, you had to attend that very important meeting. So the fact that you chose somebody else or something else over the person who is trying to guilt trip you, and they don't seem to understand that something else was important, that's a mind game. And that you can see how sometimes guilt tripping is also sabotaging, because you cannot have anything else more important than the person that has the narcissistic traits. They are the most important in your life. Another mind game is called gaslighting. Gaslighting means that the reality that you perceive is being denied. The reality you remember, the memory you have, the information, the experience you remember is being distorted by the other person. No, you don't remember correctly. No, I never said that. No, you're just making things up. Then the contradiction that you encountered is making you feel doubtful about yourself. Then this is when it starts. The negative impact starts in our life. We start doubting about ourselves. We start blaming ourselves that maybe we are the problem because we don't remember correctly, because we make things up. That reinforces the trauma bonding. We stay in the relationship because we actually think that we are the problem and we need to fix something while the other person is perfectly fine. The third one, silent treatment. I think you know what it is. This is when the other person is just ignoring messages of connection, messages or requests that they have for you. The meaning of silent treatment is punishment. You need to see how it feels when I am hurt. You need to feel the same thing and even worse. I will deprive you of the connection so that you will come back regretting and changing everything about your behavior while I don't do anything. I don't change anything. I just practice silent treatment. I just punish you. So you can see the unfairness there. You can see the imbalance. One is just punishing and the other one needs to do all the work. That's why it's one of the most traumatizing coping mechanisms. It's one of the most traumatizing methods that one can actually use in order to elicit change in the relationship. And it's traumatizing because it makes the person who is subject to this silent treatment, makes them feel that they are not worthy of connection. They are not worthy of the other person's attentions. They feel shame because of who they are. Another one is projection. When the person with narcissistic traits, they're just criticizing you for things that they do themselves. Either they are aware that they do it or they're not aware. It doesn't matter. They're just projecting their own weaknesses or their own insecurities to you. And then instead of talking about their problem, we're talking about your problem, even though that might not be a problem for you, but still it's just projected on you. It's noise, it's distraction. It's taking the responsibility from me and shifting it to somebody else. That's why I say it's creating noise, it's creating distraction. Another one can be sarcasm, irony, negative humor. This is when you make fun of a person, but then actually what you're saying is really hurtful. And the trap there is that if you don't laugh with this joke, if you don't find it funny or amusing, and you protest, then you're going to be doubly criticized, because not only you're criticized about the thing that we said before as a joke, but also you're too sensitive. Oh, come on, you don't understand a joke. Everything is so serious for you, or you're taking everything too personal. This is, again, to make you feel like you're wrong, to make you feel inferior, and of course, less insecure. Another one that's obvious, very strong, especially in people with covert narcissism, and that is victimhood. Covert narcissism, and that's something that I am talking about in the workshop, in the webinar, recognizing and unveiling covert narcissism and reclaiming back your power. This is when the person with narcissistic traits is actually presenting themselves as somebody who life has treated them unfairly. The whole world is against them, and they were deprived of opportunities. They have sacrificed so much. Victimhood is actually, again, a powerful weapon because it keeps the other person in the relationship. It creates guilt, as we said before, because if you have a tiny bit of empathy and kindness inside you, the first thing that you would feel is like, how can I leave such a person who was treated so unfairly by life? I'm not that kind of person. I will stay with them and I will support them because they don't have anybody else. They have only me. So they're staying in the relationship because of this victimhood. But again, even if you are there, even if you are supporting them, first, they're very probable not to take the help that you are offering. And secondly, you're going to have a very miserable life listening to somebody complaining all the time and not changing a bit in their life. As we said before, we learn about all these mind games because they will help us protect ourselves. Another one, another mind game, constant criticism. This is where you feel that whatever you do is not enough. Making a connection with perfectionism. Do you see how perfectionist can be sometimes people with narcissistic traits? Nothing is enough. Even moments of celebration, even wins, they can turn against you. So for example, you win an award and you're being invited to the ceremony and people say so many nice things about you. And yet, the person in your life, on the way back home, they will find a way to sneak in some criticism. So you love attention, eh? You love people talking about you. So that will actually take away all the pride that you're feeling about something that you have achieved, and it will make it again a problem for you. Another one is pretend ignorance. This is when you're playing dumb. This is when you're like, oh, I didn't know about that. Even though it's obvious, even though it's common sense, even though you have discussed this with this person many, many times, but they're pretending ignorance because they can get away without any consequences. They can get a second chance, even though it's not second, it's a 10th chance. And the last but not least is throwing a tantrum. This is when, for example, this person is just, again, creating noise around them, creating a bigger effect, even though you started saying something that hurt you, for example, or you're giving them feedback, they will act out. They will speak with big words, big gestures. They will even use intimidating or very negative comments, loud voice, so that they can silence you. Don't say anything more. And don't even consider to give me feedback one more time. Because see what happens? So they want to intimidate you with this tantrum, with this acting out. I hope you have a good idea of some mind games. I have a reflection of how this appears in your life with which people. And again, I remind you that narcissism lives in a spectrum, which means that if somebody's using some of these, strategies or whatever tactics once in a while, it doesn't matter. What matters is the frequency of these mind games, how often they do it, even if, for example, it's the only way they communicate. But if they also have other ways to communicate, healthy ways, you see that how this changes the whole situation. And secondly, how all these have impacted their life. If this person that you have in mind now that you listen to this, watch this video, if this man you actually observe that they don't have friends, they change work positions or work or careers all the time, there's no stability in their life. If you notice that there's no stability, then probably you understand that all these are part of a bigger narcissistic context, behavior in their life. If this is happening once in a while and this person can maintain relationships and they are relatively stable in their lives, in many areas of their lives, then you see that all these, they're just, human imperfections. And probably if you discuss them with them, probably they will be able and they will be open to change. So that's what was important for today. Have a look at the website. Maybe you still have time to register for the webinar, How to Recognize Covert Narcissism, or maybe you still have time to register for the workshop, How to Break Free from Narcissism and Live a Life of Joy and Balanced Relationships. So have a look at it. Maybe you still have time, or maybe it's still on the website and you can find it. I'm here for any questions. Please let me know your comments or any other mind game that I didn't mention in this video. Have a good day.